All right. I'm back.
All right.
I guess we have a
Well,
little.
hello and welcome to a Chip Off the Old Block Toys. I'm Jeff, and I've got Ron here, and we'll introduce Ron here in just a minute. What we got is part 5 of building the Forest Stronghold. That's set number 910043. It's one of the Bricklink Designer sets. And just because I know somebody's going to ask, yes, I was able to get a copy of each of the was it Series 5 that just came out a couple days ago. Now, it's not going to be shipped until November, but at least I was able to get those. And hey, Greg, how you doing? And this is Ron. This was the special guest I was talking about a few weeks ago about bringing on. And Ron and I kind of met on a chance encounter.
Yep.
I was go ahead.
Well, you were moving out of Texas and had all your Lego stuff at a storage unit I had just started renting at for cleaning my parents' house out after I sold it. And we met by chance at the same as crossed paths for a couple of minutes and talked about Legos, and then you gave me a card, and then it kind of went from there.
Yeah, so I always think it's fun to meet a fellow Lego fan. And the reason I like meeting other people that like Lego is because, when I was in middle school and high school, I've never had a dark period with Lego, by the way. And I've had people that weren't so nice and basically said it was kind of nerdy that I like Legos. And so, I mean, not that I'm calling you a nerd, Ron, but I like to meet fellow nerds.
Yeah.
That like Lego just as much as I do, and maybe you like it even more than I do. I don't know, but it's always just nice to find someone who has a similar interest.
I'll tell you, I actually found some Lego from when I was a kid, when I was cleaning out the house.
Okay.
So that was kind of interesting to find.
Yeah. So do you remember which sets you found, or one or two?
They were kind of random, but there were some things from, I don't know if you've seen them before, the yellow sliding ladders that used to be on the fire trucks. I found a couple of those. There were some of the older, bigger figures that they had back in the early, I think it was 80s, with the big round yellow heads and things like that. Just some random pieces of stuff that had been scattered that I found in a couple of different places. I was going through it and went, oh, wow. There's the Lego I had. So,
okay.
Yeah, I don't think there was a complete set in the lot, but there was a bunch of just random stuff there.
Well, that's interesting because my very first set that I ever had was it was a set called The Bathroom, and it had the grandma or the mom, the giant figure, like you're saying, with the big,
yeah.
And the minifigure was the child.
Right. Yeah. If I remember right, I think Mom bought me one of the just general, had a bunch of different bricks in it. It wasn't really a set that you could just take. Kind of like the creator ones today, that you can kind of just grab and have a bunch of different bricks in it, and you can kind of just do whatever you want with it. So I remember building spaceships out of random Lego bricks and stuff like that.
I think I remember. I think I remember those. Those were like the Universal sets or something like that.
Yeah,
if I remember
something
right.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I got one of those too. It was the one where you could make a red semi out of it.
Right. I remember that one.
I still, it's not together, but I still have it somewhere.
Right. Well, like I said, I thought that stuff was long gone, and in the process of going through the house and cleaning out stuff, Mom was big into genealogy, and that's primarily what I was getting stuff and things from. I ran across a whole bunch of Lego, and I was like, oh wow, I didn't know that was still here. I thought that was long gone, but I actually found some that was still there. So it was kind of neat to find.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. Yeah, my experience with Lego has actually been slightly different in that I've actually had coworkers that know that I collect Lego, and I had one. Her name was Nancy, real nice gal I worked with at the hospital, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I was going through my attic and I found this Lego set, and it was like a space starfighter thing." And she's like, "Yeah, I don't think my son remembers about it." And I'm like, "Well, I would check with him, see if he wants it." And she goes, "Oh no, he's not interested in Lego." And I offered her money for it. She's like, "No. She's like, I'm pretty sure he'll be just fine if you just take it." And I felt bad because I did take it home, and I looked online and it was worth like $80.
Wow.
And it was never opened. And I was like, makes me feel kind of weird about taking it. But um, anyways, I didn't have the set, so I kept it. And actually, I haven't even opened it yet.
Yeah, the fun part of Lego for me was my housemate worked at National Instruments, and they wrote the software for the Mindstorm kits.
Oh, okay.
And when they opened one of the buildings, they had a drawing, and his daughter was special needs, and she put her name in one time for a Mindstorm set, and they called him a couple days later and said, "Come get your set." So he won a Mindstorm set, and in the process of getting with that and learning how to make it work so that he could do things with her, he got involved in First Lego League through the company, because they did a lot of the every year when they did the tournaments in the Austin area, they got the Legos in, and we would sit and build all the props for the sets out of Lego. And you
Okay.
would have different themes, different years. One was about water conservation, and all those kind of things. And they would send the sets, and you build two of the same thing, one for each side of the table, and they would build robots to accomplish certain things, and they had a time limit to do it within. And it went all the way up through high school, and we were doing that. And I was in college doing an IT degree, by the way, and they did an intro to robotics class, and my advisor was the teacher, the instructor for the course, and they had filled the class up. And I was talking to him. I said, "Really like to get into that class." And he's like, "Well, I don't even know what we're going to use for robotics sets." So I took him the information and contact information for the Mindstorm kits, and they wound up purchasing Mindstorm kits for the whole class. So I think they got something like, I think there were 12 people in the class or something like that. So they got 6 sets, and you worked as a pair. And we went through different things to do with robotics and built them out of the Mindstorm kits. And for the final project, I actually had a ball sorter that would sort balls by color, and a crane that would lift them up and load it. And then it would go through the ball sorter, and they worked on Bluetooth. One would do one operation, signal the other on Bluetooth, and the other one would do its operation and finish and signal back that it was done. So it turned out to be pretty good. Got an A in the class, so it was all really cool.
Yeah, I've dabbled in Mindstorms a little bit. I went to a what is it called? Brick Slopes. It's like a Lego fan event. Is what
Right.
they call it? And they had a contest where you built your own robot, and then you had like 20 minutes to program it, and then you
Yeah.
like fight them. And
Yep.
it's not really a fight. You just try to push it off the circle.
Right.
But even though that was a short-lived thing that I did, I can agree with you. I really think Mindstorms is a really cool concept, and I really wish they didn't discontinue it. Wish they would kind of bring it back and do some more with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a fun thing to have. A fun thing. We still have a couple of kits here. It was, but it was always a fun thing to do, because the programming was really easy. You just it was graphical, because they dealt with, it was for kids, so you just kind of clicked on things and hooked things up together on the a graphical interface, and then ran the program from the what they call the brick, which is the robot brain, basically, that send everything out, and it would go execute what you told it to do. which was really kind of cool. We had one contest where we had to build a robot that would follow a line, and you program it to execute and follow the line, and that. The first project we ever did was rubber band powered. We had to build a rubber band powered vehicle that would, go so far, and we had to figure out how to do it and how to use like gear ratios and things like that to accomplish speed and distance on it. So, the general idea of the course was to familiarize you with robots, because a lot of the graduates that are graduating out of the IT department in programming were running into robots and being asked to do programming for robots, and they had no idea what they were doing. They had no idea the forces involved and how that would relate. And so the class was kind of designed to give you an interview into robotics and different aspects that you have to consider if you're programming, like limits on a hydraulic arm and things like that, and what you should be aware of. So it was a fun class.
Okay. And so it sounds like you're saying you have a IT background as well.
Yeah, I got a network administration and design background. Was my class. That was my college class or college degree. Okay. And that was, the robotics thing was an elective in my final year. So
okay.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting, kind of fun.
Yeah, so
Things to keep up with.
I was going to say, when I worked for the hospital, I worked in IT. I kind of got in IT kind of backwards, because I have a degree in accounting, and I was an accountant, and I was working this accounting job, and I really didn't like it. And I had a manager that just approached me and asked me how I was doing with accounting, and I just told her the truth. I said, I'm not happy with this. I don't want to be doing it. And she was like, well, our IT guy just quit, and we don't want to hire another IT guy. We want to take an accountant, because they understand, the business rules and why things have to be the way it has to be. Right. And we'd rather have an accountant do it, and we're willing to train them. And I was like, yeah, sign me up. And that's how I got started into it. And then I bought a bunch of books and read them, and did some online things with Code Academy and some other stuff. Right. And I don't know if you'll agree here, but I would rather build something from scratch than have to go through code that somebody else wrote and try to figure out why they did what they did.
Especially if it's not documented. If they do the documentation really well, it's not as bad. But a lot of times you don't get that documentation. They just do something, and you're like, why did they do it this way? Why didn't they do it this other way that we know works and does the same thing, but it takes less lines of code or something? And if they don't document it in the notes in the code, then you have no idea what you're doing. It's kind of like doing a mock without the directions. It's like, how did you get it that way without getting there? So my design degree had a minor in management, so I got all the business management stuff with it as a minor in the degree plan at the time. So I had to take accounting, had to take a couple of management courses and things like that. So I had all that stuff as part of the degree when I took it.
Okay.
So
yeah, no, I hear what you're saying about the documentation, and you're right. A lot of times you don't get that privilege of
that makes it rough.
Yeah.
It's almost easier to go back and do your own, to reprogram it yourself from scratch than it is to try to understand something if somebody hasn't documented it well.
That actually happened to me. We had a process for patient refunds for the hospital, and this guy wrote this database to keep track of requests, and I looked at it and I was like, I have no idea why this guy did it. And I just went to my manager and I'm like, hey, I think that in 2 days I could build something better than this. And my manager's like, yeah, I've already taken a look at it. I don't understand it. So he's like, if you think you can do it better from scratch, go ahead. And I rewrote the whole thing.
Yeah. I worked at Walmart a couple of years ago, and we had this one office that kept getting hot, and you got to know how to get things around sometimes. And I got the office cooled off because there's a bunch of computer equipment in there, and I turned in the ticket saying, "Hey, it's hot in here. The computer equipment. I'm afraid the computer equipment is going to get really hot and damaged. You really should have somebody look at the AC." And within 2 days, the office was freezing cold. You had to wear a jacket. And I was like, "Yeah, no, they don't care about the employees. It's the computer equipment that costs so much that they got to cool down." So little fun things like that.
Yeah.
So, and we did my housemate actually got paid to do the first Lego League stuff, so he actually got paid to play with Lego. So
okay,
as part of his job, because he did they paid them extra hours to go and do the first Lego League stuff. He was actually became a ref and was a ref at those, so did a whole lot more than I did. But we were always sitting around the kitchen table building sets of props for it. So that's where a lot of the Lego stuff came in and got me started back on it again. So
yeah, that is pretty interesting, and actually kind of related, but not really. I came across an article today that Deloitte, which is an accounting firm, they actually allow their employees now to spend $1,000 a year on Lego for stress relief.
Wow, I could see that.
Yeah, I thought about that, and I'm like, well, that kind of makes accounting worth it, sort of.
Yep. But we had, I like to find things. Speaking of Walmart, I actually found a good deal on a Lego set at Walmart. You always got to check the clearance aisles when you go in there, because there's a big Martian rover one with all the hazardous waste things and different stuff on it. It's $181 set, and I got it at Walmart on clearance for $81.
You gotta love deals.
Check those deals. Yeah, I was in there walking through looking at the Legos, and they had these just had the clearance on the aisle, which is not always the best clearance, but it knocks some off. And one of the employees said, "Oh yeah, we just put this big $100 set on the clearance aisle. Go check it out." And I went over, and it was $181 set, and they had it marked down to $81. I was like, wow. So I went and bought it. I thought that was a really good deal. I haven't built it yet. I got to find somewhere to display it once I build it. And that's the space is the limit at the moment, but it's still sitting there waiting to be built. And then I got the Dark Falcon set. That was a cool set.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told you about that when we met. I had that set.
Yeah, that's one I wanted to get, but I haven't been able to get it yet. It does look really cool. And you said you have not built it yet? Oh. All right. There you go.
I guess my Wi-Fi's cutting in and out or something weird.
Oh.
I don't have an Ethernet cable. Well, I could rob one. I don't have an Ethernet connection right in front of me I can hook into. So that may be why I'm cutting out. But go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say the Walmart is funny about their clearance, because I have.
They are.
So like when I went with the Galaxy Explorer, the big space one that they redid. It was on clearance in my area for $75. And then one of the times that I went down to Texas, I don't remember what town it was, but I think it was in New Mexico. I went to a Walmart there just for kicks and giggles, and when I saw it there, they had the same exact set. Instead of being 75 on clearance, it was 50, and I had not bought it yet, so I was like, that's mine.
A lot of times, having worked in some of that and knowing some of the behind the scenes of it, a lot of it is corporate that sets how much you can take off, but then you also have a clearance budget in the store that they can spend every year to knock down prices further. And so it's up to the store manager how much gets spent on clearance and how much extra. And then the department heads or department team leads, department managers are the ones that make up the decision of, he can give them a budget, and then they can turn around and say, well, we're going to go through this is not selling so well. Let's go ahead and mark it down further on clearance and make it a bit, make it a a better price, maybe we'll take, especially if something's been there a while, they're going to try to move it and get it out. And sometimes that's how it is. So it can vary from store to store because the stores can spend extra money to knock a price lower if it's a set that's not very popular or an item that's not very popular, and they're just trying to get them out of inventory.
Okay.
So that can vary. It's just having worked at Walmart and having seen that process before, it's kind of depends on what it is and the time of year and different variables like that.
Well, a little off topic, but Mrs. Chip and I were talking, and we're trying to plan out the next time I can be in Texas.
Okay.
And it's looking like she's got, well, her job right now, it's got a lot of training, and some of it, their trainings are crazy. Like one of them's a month long, and it's not in Texas; it's out of state. And so we were talking about October, and ironically, I'm going to be there probably clearing out that storage unit. I never finished that job.
Okay.
But when I'm there, I'll definitely let you know.
Okay.
Mrs. Chip is not too far from me. She's stationed at Fort Hood.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're actually changing that name back, by the way. I don't know if you heard that or not.
What's that?
They're actually changing the name back to Fort Hood.
Oh, they are? Okay.
Yes, they have announced there's a Colonel Robert B. Hood from World War I in the artillery that got a Distinguished Medal for fighting in the artillery. So they announced, I think, 7 bases they've gone through and found other people with the same last name from other times in military history that were, won different medals and things like that, and they're using them to rename them back to what they were.
Yeah, and I found it funny. Mrs. Chip and I at one point were looking at houses there in that area, and our real estate agent, I didn't know how to pronounce Fort Cavazos at first, and I tried to, I was trying to be, respectful and try to pronounce it, and the real estate agent just laughed at me, and she goes, "Everyone still calls it Fort Hood."
Yeah, they do. Everybody that's still here that has been here for any length of time calls it Fort Hood.
Yeah,
it was, it was originally was named back before World War II as Camp Hood, and then became, Fort Hood during World War II, and they did a lot of training through there for troops going overseas. So it's got a long history. 1st Cav Division's been here a very long time, and at least I would say it was here probably during World War II, but I know that at least 1st Cav's been there since as long as I've been here, and I've been here since '76. So they've been around a very long time, and it's just, the name thing. Yeah, they did what they did, and the administration has decided they want to change it back, so that's what they're doing. And it doesn't affect me either way. I don't have to. I'm not military. I live, close by, but and I've been around long enough to know a lot about the history of the post and things like that. But name changes don't faze me at all. So
yeah, and I really don't care either way. Yeah. I mean, I grew up in California. My dad was in the Navy, and there was Moffett Field Air Station, and it was Moffett Field for the longest time, and then the Challenger blew up, and one of the Air Force captains on there, they renamed it after him, and it became Onizuka Air Force Base for his last name. And then later on, it got decommissioned altogether, and now it's just called, I think it's just called Sunnyvale Air Force Base or something like that. Because it was a naval base, but the Navy pulled out of there, and the Air Force has their, NASA testing facility there. And so the Air Force still, they didn't take over the whole base, but they took over part of it, and the rest of it got decommissioned.
Right. Yeah, they have the Bergstrom Air Force Base in Austin. They decommissioned that, which actually was a good thing for the city of Austin because their airport was kind of landlocked. They couldn't move it at all, and it had become a lot of complaints about noise because they were overflying houses and stuff. So when that was decommissioned, the city moved to take it over, and it became Austin Bergstrom International, and they uh, it's a better airport for them now because they did that. And then the old airport turned into a commercial district with a lot of commercial stores and housing and things like that through there. So it turned out to be a benefit for them at that point.
Yeah, I've been to Austin probably about 10 years ago. Well, let me think about this. My daughter, she's 27 this year. She was 13, so 14 years ago.
Okay.
And I didn't know what to think of Austin. It's not like I go places trying to be judgmental, but I just didn't know what to think of it. And I remember I got off the airplane and I'm walking through the airport, and one of the first things I see is this guy with a light green T-shirt with white lettering that says "Keep Austin Weird."
Yep. Austin is its own little piece of Texas, and there are some things that are extremely weird about it that you would never see anywhere else, but there are a lot of things that are just uniquely Texan too. So UT is a pretty big, unique place, and there's a lot of things that happen there. And then you have a lot of just kind of weird stuff. They're actually one of the cities that is really big on allowing lanes for bicycles and bicycle traffic and stuff because they have a lot of people that don't use cars, they just ride bikes. And there's a lot of time that you can do that without getting, a lot. There's not a huge winter most of the time, but there's a lot of time that you can ride because of good weather, and you get to go riding around. So they're one of the big cities on that. So they have some unique things and unique places, and it's interesting to go down there. You can hear live music every night, different places, and any type of music you want to hear, pretty much every night. So they said it's the capital music, capital, was it music capital of Texas or something like that. But they have a lot of places to hear live music. So, and
Okay.
ACL, the Austin City Limits Festival every year is a big thing, and a lot of music down there during those times.
Yeah, I found Austin to be a cool place.
Yep.
I enjoyed being there. I was there for about I want to say 10 days, about a week and a half, and
Yep.
a lot of good food there. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah.
And I like the vibe of the place. But yeah, I've my dad being in the military and then my wife being in the military, I
Yeah.
have had the fortunate opportunity to be a lot of different places. And I would say my favorite place I've ever lived, and probably because it was a foreign country, was Germany. And
Yeah.
Germany is very interesting. The people
Heard some
there,
good stories about Germany.
yeah, Germany's awesome in that people are just blunt with you. If they don't like you,
Yeah.
you just know it.
Yeah.
And if they do like you, you know it. And so I'll tell you, I took 3.5 years of German in high school. I'm not fluent in German, but I can have a minor conversation with somebody. And I remember the first time I rode the streetcar, it was pretty full, so I had a ride in the back, towards the back, and that was the only spot there was. And there was this really overweight German guy, and he starts a conversation with me in German. He says, "You must be American." And I was like, "Oh, really? How do you know?" And he goes, "Your shoes." I'm like, okay, all right. And it's true. Americans tend to wear sneakers. They don't. They tend to wear nicer shoes. And he just broke out with, "Man, you're fat." He just said it to me. And I looked at him and I was like, well, okay, if he's talking to me like that, it must be okay to say it back. So I said, well, it looks like you're not doing too bad yourself, because he was a much bigger guy than I was. And he just laughed. I mean, he was not offended at all. He just thought it was funny that I threw it back at him. And
Yeah.
We had a good conversation, and he got a little dirty because he saw that I had 4 kids, and he's like, "Do you and your wife know how to do anything else in your spare time?" And it's just like, all right.
Yeah, there are a lot of German dependents around here from people that have married and they've come over and they retire, get retired and stay in the area. So we get a lot of not just Germans, but we also get a lot of other places people have been. We've got, there's a big Korean community here of dependents that have come back with soldiers and things like that. So a lot of different exposure, different cultures.
Yeah, actually, Mrs. Chip had that experience. We were when we were stationed in Germany, and I say we because I was there too with the kids.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, she's the one in the military. I'm not taking credit.
Right.
But we were stationed in Germany, and we met this girl, Nicole, and she was married to a service member, and real nice gal. And they got married and had a kid, and well, the marriage didn't work out, and they got divorced while he was stationed at Fort Hood, and she was there, and I don't remember where she was at, the PX or something, and it had been like 15 years since we'd seen her, and my wife had immediately recognized her, and so they've been kind of hanging out a little bit here and there. But yeah, she's a German national living right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple of German restaurants in Killeen where Killeen and Harker Heights. Harker Heights is actually a store where you can go in and buy German food from that they ship in. So and they have a restaurant there too. So some good German food.
Yeah. So if you don't mind me asking, what is your favorite theme of Lego?
I kind of like the Star Wars stuff, but then I grew up Star Wars. I saw Star Wars when I was in middle school in theater for the first time when it came out. So pretty much, anything Star Wars. I like some of the cars that they do are kind of cool. The race car themes, those kind of things. Those are interesting to do. But I think primarily Star Wars is the big one.
Okay. Well, I mean, I love the Star Wars as well because I mean, I think we're probably about the same age, and I grew up on Star Wars, and I remember I was working for the newspaper as a manager, and I had this one particular Sunday that was just brutal. I had several people call off. I was getting yelled at, and I worked out in the field. And I remember just thinking to myself, I'm going to stop in the Target there, and I'm just going to go to the toy aisle and see if they've got any new Lego. And I didn't know. I didn't hear any announcements or anything that they were doing Star Wars Lego. And I was very pleasantly surprised because I was having a really crappy day. And I just went to the aisle, and there the first Millennium Falcon was, the one with the big things on it. And I mean, I admit I didn't have the money to buy it, but I didn't care. I bought it anyway.
I have a couple of action figures from Star Wars. The old there's an old Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I think there's another one somewhere here that I collect that I've gotten, and those are really cool. But that rolling into Lego has been really interesting.
Okay. Well,
well,
that's cool. Do you have any of the Ultimate Collector Series ones?
I do not.
Okay.
Those have been way out of budget for me.
Oh,
not even close.
No, trust me.
Yeah, way out of budget.
No, they're out of budget for me too. I just sometimes I'm a little reckless.
I get that.
I don't know if you've ever seen that meme. It says that it has the guy with his Lego collection, and the friend comes over to see it, and he's like, "Oh, you must be really rich." And he goes, "You have no idea how irresponsible I am."
Yeah. Well, they say you give kids adult money, and they spend it on things.
Yeah, that's
And a
true.
lot of us adults are big kids with adult money to be spending on things.
Yeah, it's been. I've really enjoyed collecting Lego, and I'm not ashamed to admit that probably about a third of my collection that I have acquired from estate sales.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of um, people that run estate sales have no idea the value of Lego,
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
they're just looking to offload it because they just think, oh, this is trash.
Yeah.
And when I lived in Virginia, there was a couple of different because there was the greater DC area. It's got a couple million people, and I just got in good with a couple of estate salespeople, and I just told them, I said, hey, if you ever have Lego, give me a call. And
Yeah.
Occasionally I'd get the call that, hey, you know what, somebody passed away, they got a Lego collection, and we're not sure what to do with it. And of course, I would be very happy to offer them a price, and a lot of times they went for it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of things like that people do that. That looks complicated. Right there, what you're doing right there looks complicated all of a sudden.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that one thing you said.
I said that what you're doing right there looks like it get complicated all of a sudden.
It is. Yeah, I couldn't get my headphones, my trucker headphones that connect to. And sometimes I don't know why. I just have issues with it. But if Mrs. Chip was here, I'd blame it on her. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't. And if you don't know me and Mrs. Chip, we've been married. It'll be 20. Oh my gosh, 29 years this year.
Wow.
And we have a very, very I don't know if healthy is the right word. We joke around with each other a lot,
Right.
To the point where we've had friends that, like, I'll say something and they're like, "Whoa, that was brutal," and I was like, "No, you just wait. She'll say something back," and then she does. Yeah. She doesn't miss a beat. And neither one of us get offended. We know we're joking.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I've got a set of the Shocks now, Open Run Pro headsets. They kind of go around the ear and they're bone induction, and very lightweight, and they work really good on a lot of things. Discovered them when I was working at a recumbent bike shop.
Okay.
Well, I was working at the shop as a mechanic, working on bikes, and part of it is you got to test ride them. And in order to test ride, if you want to, if you need a phone call or anything like that, or if you just want to listen to music while you're riding around doing the test ride, you can't use earbuds or anything like that because you can't hear the traffic coming around you. And these allow you to actually hear what's going on in the atmosphere around you while being able to listen to music or have a phone call or whatever. And so I got a pair there when I was working there and used them the whole time while I was there, to my boss's regret sometimes, because I would be talking on the phone. He wasn't sure I was talking to him or talking on the phone to somebody, because you can't really see him, and I'm not holding a phone up to my ear. So, and then at Walmart it was even better because I could answer the phone and stuff and still be doing things without having hands free while I'm doing stuff, without having a whole bunch of stuff. And although you weren't supposed to do it, occasionally listen to some music to kind of, when it got boring, to kind of make it go a little faster and those kind of things. So they've been a really good deal. I'm on my second pair now. My first one, the button died on it and I had to find a second pair, but they're really great. I haven't had any major issues with them anyway. So it was one of those little finds I had.
Well, I agree with you on that. I've got I'm trying to remember. I had Skull Candy, as they call it, the brand.
Right.
I was not impressed with that brand because I bought them, and 2 weeks after I had them, I was outside cleaning the chicken coop, and I had a fly or something land on my ear, so I kind of hit my ear, not thinking about it, and the earbud came off, and I didn't hit it really hard, but the earbud flew off, and it didn't even land on the ground. It landed in the chicken coop, which was at my waist, so it only fell like 2 feet, and it broke. And so I contacted, because I got it on Amazon, I contacted Amazon and I said, hey, just got these and they broke. And I explained what happened. And Amazon's, no, they shouldn't have broke. We'll send you out another one when you send out that one. So I did. I sent it back, and they sent me new ones. And I was sitting on the riding lawnmower, and kind of the same thing. I accidentally, kind of hit my ear, and the thing flew off and hit the ground, and it broke. And it was like, it was grass. It wasn't even like anything hard. And so after the second pair, I said, no, I'm going with a different brand. And I'm trying to remember what brand I went with now, but I've had them for almost a year now. And I agree with you. I love them because when I'm on the phone, I can get stuff done.
Yep. I like the aftershocks a little better than I like earbuds, because I've had earbuds that just kind of fall out of your ear really easily, and these stay on really well. I'll show you real quick. They look like that, where they're just kind of get the over the ear part, and they're really lightweight.
It's kind of what I have too.
Yeah. And the band going around the back of the neck actually keeps them on your ear, and they have a little bit of pressure tension on them so that they don't fall off as easily. So I've lost earbuds just by them falling out somewhere and not realizing it. So it's different to do that. I've had a couple of different ones. Some of the Skull Candy series are really cheap, and you got to watch those. But I've had Samsung earbuds for that sync up with Samsung phones better. I've had a couple of those, and sometimes those, if you're not careful, will fall out really easily too. So you just gotta look for something that works right. And these work for me, and they're really easy and convenient, and they have their own unique charging plug that's magnetic. So you get it close, and it clicks on as a magnet, and so they're very lightweight. You don't realize you don't really remember you're wearing them most of the time. So,
yeah, and that's happened to me too with my earbuds. Is that, like you said, your ears just get so used to them being there, and they're not heavy, that you just kind of zone out, and it's like, oh yeah, that's right. A call comes through, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm wearing earbuds.
Right.
So yeah, and
I've got gaming headsets for when I want to play games and don't want to hear what's going on around me. So I've got something that I'll put over the ear and has the boom and all that, and I put those on sometimes when I want a game and I don't want to hear, and the game has a lot of immersive sounds, and you don't want to just have everything intruding on it. But for the most part, I just use the Shocks headphones for everything.
Yeah. Well, I do want to give everyone a quick update. I will have a shop update video for tomorrow. I still have to film the last 5 minutes of it, but I'm going to be doubling the size of the city. I've been working on it, and the only thing I needed to buy was $4 in bolts, and I was able to work on that today and get another table built. And so that'll be coming out tomorrow. And I'm thinking Sunday morning will be, or maybe mid-afternoon will be the next video to finish this one up. But and I did the second version of the Dragon, the 3-in-1, and I need to do the third, and then I need to do the comparison side by side. So that's what I've got going on for the next couple of days.
Yeah, I wish I had a shop like yours.
That shop has been both a blessing and a curse.
Yeah. I've seen some of the videos on it, so yeah.
But though, I don't want to complain, because honestly, I'm very happy to have it, and it's something that, like, I told Mrs. Chip that I wanted that like 20 years ago, and just never could. The finances just were never there, and then plus the fact I had a pretty severe injury, spine injury, And I didn't think I was going to be able to like do a whole lot because they literally told me you'll never lift over 20 pounds again. Wow. And long story short, there was a procedure that got approved in the U.S. that had been used in Mexico and Europe for over 10 years. And it's called arthroplasty, and it's where they replace the disc in your neck or your back with 2 titanium things that glide. Okay. And once they proved that in the U.S., I saw a different doctor, and he was just like, he looked at the MRI and he says, "Oh, you're the perfect candidate. Let's do it." And I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" And I had it done, and it was way better than I thought it was going to be. And I've been able to do a lot of things that I wasn't able to do anymore. And so when that happened, I was looking at houses. This 3-acre plot came open, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try. And it all worked out. So kind of got, well, not kind of, I really did get lucky. The people that had this house, this was their dream home. They built it. And then unfortunately, like, I think it was like 2 weeks before they shut down the economy for COVID, this couple bought 2 houses that they wanted to do an Airbnb with.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, well, we can't rent them out and we owe money. And so the only house they had any equity in was this one. And so they sold this one almost at a fire sale price. And I just happened to stumble upon it on the internet, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to take a look at it. And I did. And it was a little more work than I thought it was going to be. But overall, I'm very happy with the home, happy with the land.
Yeah, you'd be hard pressed to find something that good down here too. I mean, you can find it, but you got to look really hard to find something like that down here.
Yeah, I was watching. God, I wish I remember his channel because I love giving credit to other channels. There was this guy who was talking about his business that he made out of nothing. He started off with one 3D printer, and now he built like a 2,000 square foot shop. He's in Texas, and he's printing parts for some medical equipment and some other things. Anyway, his video how I went from 0 to $80,000 a month in income doing 3D printing.
Yeah.
So anyway, I saw his shop and I thought, God, man, that's just awesome. His shop is much nicer than mine because he had it built for that purpose. So
right.
Mine, the shop I have, just a story, not trying to complain. The guy who built it, I'm not trying to be mean, but he probably shouldn't have built it. He didn't know what he was doing. And there was several leaks in the roof. The walls leaked. I was going to lose the shop because the walls were sinking on one side and just everything I've gone through with it. But now that the major issues have been addressed, I'm very pleased with it. And I mean, I've got away with some stuff because I have a friend who's a structural engineer. And right after I bought the house, he lived in Minnesota and he was out here visiting. I don't remember why, but he was out here visiting. And I was just like, hey, I've got this, house and I'm kind of concerned about it. So he ran up here and he took a look at it and he's like, well, you need to do this and this and it'll save the structure. And so, I didn't have to pay for the structural engineer analysis, if you know what I mean. Just had to have my friend look at it.
Right.
And we did. We bought dirt and we packed it up against the foundation as a proper grade. And we did all the stuff we had to do to it. So it's good now. But yeah, that was not... the home inspector failed to find any of that. So it's kind of a little PO'd at the guy, but whatever.
Home. I've seen some videos on home inspectors. Some of them where they go behind others and say, "Why didn't you find this?" kind of thing. And so that's a mixed bag anyway.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying.
There.
They don't, but I mean, I can understand too, because on the other hand, I mean, this is the first time they're seeing the structure too. So I mean, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to stop here because this was 6 bags and there's exactly 6 bags left. So we'll just split the difference and finish this another day. I do appreciate everyone being here. Ron, thank you very much for spending time here with me today. And if you wouldn't mind hanging around after I stop this live stream, talk for a few minutes. But everybody else, have a great night. And if you feel like I earned it, or say we earned it, hit the like button. And see you guys later.